want to go from there?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So yes, welcome to Fenmhan. So I am Heidi Lemon. I am a coordinator for Active Fenland, which is the sports development team at Fenland District Council. And we've got sort of several other different members part of the group here. So Fenmhan itself, I always think, John, if your video will allow you to kind of say what Fenmhan is, I think you're always a bit better with the words than I am, to kind of let us all know.
It's quite simply a mental health network for Fenland.
Very simply put. Thank you, John. Yeah, so we try to meet sort of every quarter or so. It's a network where we can come together. We often have a guest speaker or a theme. It allows us to share insight, share things that we're working on, good stories, projects, and it's a great way for all of us to come together in Fenland. So we have got on a bit of an agenda today. If you've seen it, we have got the lovely Louise as our guest speaker today. So that would be great to hear from. What I thought we would do is we usually go around and do introductions, but today obviously we are marking the anniversary of going into lockdown last year. So what I thought we could do is, instead of going around with introductions, I thought first we could go around and share kind of how we've been, share our workings, what we found, share our reflections really on how the last year has been. I appreciate not everybody will probably want to share that. So what I thought we could do is, if you raise your Zoom hand, and basically what I will do is, if you'd like to share, raise your hand and I can go around the group and invite you to speak if you wish to do that. Don't all rush at once. Okay, so Jane, I think you're my first one, if you would like to go first.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I think I just wanted to really reflect on, so I'm from Cambridge Community Arts, and we usually run creative arts courses in the community. Obviously haven't been able to do that for some time, but I think trying to have a positive reflection on the year is obviously, I think, along with everybody else, this huge learning to be online and have a different way of reaching out. We've measured the success of our online courses, and they seem to have as much impact on people as the in-class courses. So that's a real positive learning for us. And feedback has been, well, I wouldn't have been able to come if I'd had to travel, or I couldn't have got there. So we know that we're reaching people that are isolated that we wouldn't have reached before. And that's a really good thing that we know that, because now we intend to go forward with a online set of courses and face-to-face courses, knowing that we've got a better offer. So I think really that's our main learning that I'll share with you. But we're keeping online courses for our last set of courses this year because of the challenge. Yeah, I'll do.
Lovely, thank you, Jane. Yeah, I think that's really interesting, isn't it? How by being forced online, almost, you have attracted that wider audience, and you can engage with them. I think that's really interesting. I think we've probably seen a similar thing in some of our exercise stuff, is that it's enabled us to target some sort of wider audiences, and like you said, people who wouldn't usually be engaged. So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much for sharing. Who else have we got? Lisa Shepherd, if you'd like to go next.
Hi guys, yes, so I'm Lisa Shepherd and I am a alcohol health trainer for Healthy You. Sorry about the angle grinder going on next door, building an extension. Joys of working from home. Yeah, so a year ago today, my beloved mummy was in hospital dying, and I brought her home, and for 6 beautiful days I was able to care for her end of life until she passed away. And it's been, yeah, the most surreal year of my entire life. you know, not being able to have a funeral as you normally would for my mum. Starting this new job has been an absolute godsend. Getting a little puppy has been an absolute godsend. And doing what I do, which is helping other people, you know, building my client base and just connecting with people, even though we can't do that face to face, you know, a telephone, it's still connection. And that's really helped me through what has been the single most difficult period I've ever experienced. But hopefully we're coming to the end of it, and hopefully we might maybe be in a room together one day. You never know. But yeah, surreal. That's the only way I can describe the last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for sharing as well, and obviously condolences for your loss. Yeah, powerful year. Yeah, just thank you for sharing. If there's anything we can all do as a group to help support, then please do let us know. Thank you. Anyone else with their hands up? Roxanne.
Hello. Yeah, just to obviously come in straight after Lisa, because obviously she is my colleague here at Healthy You. It's been a strange time for all of us at Healthy You. Obviously, we rebranded back in October. We took on a load of new colleagues and team members. Still yet to meet any of them apart from virtually. So that's been very surreal as well. But also personally, without lockdown, without the pandemic as such, I wouldn't have been financially in the place that I am now. I've saved so much money. I've been able to pay off my car finance, buying my first house. So reflection for me is that although it's been challenging in one ways, the benefit has sometimes outweighed the negative. And I think actually taking a step back and looking at that and reflecting on that, because sometimes you get caught up in the moment and just think, this is never going to end. But obviously, in hindsight, we are getting through it slowly. The vaccination process is speeding up. Fingers crossed the EU don't delay us. But obviously, we're moving in the right way. So I've got a lot to be thankful for.
Thank you, Rox. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think you've kind of summed up my feelings towards it as well. You know, there's so many challenges and there's some really hard times. You know, some people going through some really hard things, but I'm really pleased that we can try and see some of those positives as well. I think that's really great. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else with their hands up? Let's scroll back through. So I'm doing this on my phone, so I'm doing a lot of scrolling. Carolyn.
Yes, hello. I'm social prescriber in with speech. Yeah, this last year has been quite challenging. I just started in post a month before the lockdown, and so I'd only actually met face to face 2 patients before lockdown hit. But I think one thing that's been highlighted, I think, is that we don't need to see everybody face to face, that we can do a lot of it remotely. And I think that's one thing I'm going to be taking forward, that we can probably contact and speak to more people if it's done over the telephone than we possibly could face to face. So that, I think, has been a learning curve. I've been working from home, so that's been very isolating, but like Roxanne, I have saved some money, so we've actually been getting some work done in the house, which has been good. And being here and actually being at home, it's had that sort of being able to sort of get the work done. So that's an advantage. And the dog loves having me at home as well. So I'm not quite sure how he's going to react when I have to go back to work. But it's had its ups and downs. I have had times when I feel like pulling my hair out because I just IT's not working, or the internet's playing up, and I'm sort of trying to get into a meeting and it's not working. Other times just feeling very isolated, not being able to bounce off colleagues when you've come off a difficult call. But there has been some highlights. I mean, there are a lot of people out there really appreciating the contact that we're giving, and I think that's the feedback we're getting is really good, that our service is being well received in the area. And yeah, it's quite ups and downs, but it's been a memorable year, I think was one way of putting it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Carolyn. It's really insightful, isn't it? You know, everybody's got a different story and different highs and lows, different challenges. And I think I was just thinking as you were talking, Carolyn, I think, you know, Fenmhan is such a great place for us all, where we can all come together and support each other with some of these. And I think it's so great how everybody is sharing here. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Is anybody else willing to share? Right, I think that's all of us. Brilliant.
I think if I could just say, Heidi,
Mm.
the advantage for us as a network has been to be able to meet with the other networks online. That's very much a positive, that we've managed to connect with the Cambridge network and with Peterborough, and we're hoping to carry on doing some things together.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I know that there are meetings taking place and different things going on behind the scenes. So yeah, and I think that will only ever widen the kind of networks that we have across the whole county, really, won't it? So yeah, I think that's brilliant, and we look forward to the updates we have once we get kind of delve into that a bit more and see where we get to. Yeah, thanks, John. So that kind of leads me forward into our sort of main part of the Fenmhan, if you like. We do have Louise with us. Let me make sure I get this right. I've written it down. From the library development team for East Cambs and Fenland. Is that right, Louise? Hope I've got that right.
That's my geographical bit, and then I have a bit for the county, but I'll mention that.
Oh, please do.
My whole title that I need a t-shirt for.
Okay, that's great. That's perfect. So basically that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand the floor to you, if you like, and you can tell us all about yourself and the libraries and what you do and this new fantastic National Lottery funding.
Well, that's where I need to start. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm here under false pretenses, because I've been billed as having an exciting proposal to share with you. Well, we are still working on submitting a bid to the lottery, but more of that anon. My name is Louise Aldridge. I've worked in Fenland and East Cambs for 21 years next month. That is really quite terrifying. My current title is Library Development Officer, Children and Young People's plus Book Start Coordinator, with geographical responsibility for Fenland and East Cambs. I'm now going to lie down. But I'm glad I'm still in Fenland, because I've learned to love Fenland very, very much over the years. So I changed my role in January. I was culture. I'm not cultured anymore, and adult reader development, but I've gone back to my first love, which is children and young people. So, and then they gave me the Book Start Coordinator, and I'll not bore you with the joy of admin. But anyway, so I now have a slightly different role, but I still have a geographical link to here. So I'm still here. As I say, I am supposed to be sharing an exciting proposal. I'm kind of going to, but it's going to have a few more little ifs in it than I was hoping we would have. If anybody's ever tried to put in a bid to the Arts Council, who are looking after the lottery money for libraries, they will understand why I wish to lie down under the desk. But at the moment, we have a proposal. We are putting in a lottery bid. We've got a review meeting tomorrow to see if we've got sufficient content in there. And hopefully we will be sending it in at the end of the month. However, even if we don't, or we don't get the lottery funding, I think we've thought so hard about this and we've put so much together that I think we will probably be pursuing other funding. So I think it's worth getting you excited. So basically, we have a proposal for, it hasn't got an official title, but basically it's Reading for Wellbeing. The main aims of the project are really to, Well, no, I'll start from why we put it in. That would be better. So basically, I think we're going to go ahead with this, whatever happens. I'm going to talk a bit about that, and then I'm going to tell you what we actually have on offer that you can actually access. And you can tell I'm not used to being able to talk to people for so long. So we were stimulated to put in a bid to try and combat isolation, basically because 60% of library staff were actually redeployed into the hub that was supporting people who were shielding last year in the lockdown, the first lockdown. And we became even more aware than we were of the isolation suffered by members of our community. Now, there's no doubt that the pandemic has made the sense of isolation worse. However, it became very clear as we spoke to people that their feelings of isolation and depression and many other negative feelings started long before lockdown. It's just they didn't know who to go to do anything about it. I spoke to a lot of ladies who had moved into the middle of nowhere with their husbands. Their husbands had subsequently died and they were still on their own. A lot of ladies from a generation where they weren't the driver. So they were feeling isolated because they're in a rural situation, others that had poor mental health going into the lockdown. And then before lockdown, basically, they physically couldn't necessarily get out to access any services. They might have been carers, and they certainly became carers during lockdown. So there were a lot of reasons, but the being in the hub made us really think that we need to do something. And we're good at talking to people. You may not agree by the end of this spiel, but we're good at talking to people. And we found they really benefited from exactly that. We were talking to them. They had someone to talk to. They also had someone to listen to. Now, that sounds really selfish, but sometimes you need taking out of yourself. And if somebody's having a bit of a chat about what they're doing and how they're feeling, it helps you. Quite a few of my ladies said that it was so nice to be interested, to find out about somebody else's life. I mean, obviously I didn't give away everything, but I was about the age of their daughters. So they had we had a lovely chat. So that made me think about that too. So we've put together some aims to basically alleviate loneliness throughout the world. No, just in Cambridgeshire, to try and work towards alleviating feelings of loneliness and improving health and well-being using shared reading and shared listening experiences. We're aiming at people that we don't normally see in the library, because if you come into the library, you'll be smiled at through a mask at the moment, but you will be smiled at and cared about. But people we wouldn't normally see in there, maybe because they physically can't get in. We have to admit, there's quite a lot of people out there that really lack any interest in what reading can add to their lives, or they've never had the experience of listening, being read to, or reading for pleasure. So we're aiming at them, which is not easy. We are reaching out to these people by trying to create easy to join sociable groups, initially facilitated by trained staff, but we will try and train up volunteers because that's the way of the world. And the premise will be just come, don't need to prepare anything, just come and listen and be. Now, at the moment, we do have something called Read a Little Loud, and I will talk a bit more about that because this is what we've based the proposal on. So, tantalise you with that. So we're going to think of ways of delivering, and of course at the moment it's not going to be face-to-face, so we're investing, a part of the bid is to invest in telephone conferencing, because not everybody wants to Zoom. I don't want to Zoom. I do at the moment, but you know, you get a little Zoom fatigue. So we're going to have telephone conferencing, which may feel a little easier to access to people who are not excited about Zoom. Those that are excited about Zoom, we will have things on Zoom. We will make podcasts, which is our new toy, which we love playing with. And please let everybody come back into the library at some point, in which case we will do things in person in the library, or possibly one-to-one in people's homes. Now that sounds a little scary, but we do have a precedent. We have a library at home service we've had for over 25 years now. And that means that volunteers will bring books to people's homes, but they don't just dump them on the doorstep as they have to at the moment. They come in, they have a cup of tea if they're lucky, they have a chat. It's a social thing, as well as the fact that they have their library books delivered to them. So they were our thoughts. Staff and volunteers will read out loud from various sources. They'll find out what their audiences like to hear, but there'll be bits of fiction and poetry and humorous writing, bit of biography. It's quite a lovely thing, and it's usually on a theme, but I'll talk about that when I talk about Read a Little Aloud. And we might even, we'd like to get the money to actually commission specialist readers or voice actors that can record something with all that beautiful depth and intonation that a voice actor can bring to things. So that is our proposal. It sounds, it's just at the moment, when you put an application in, you have to go into the minutiae, and that's what we want to make sure we have tomorrow. So as I said, we don't get the lottery money. I think it's something that we would like to develop somehow with some funding somewhere. And really what I was hoping to do is to bring you, absolutely, we've got the money, to say what we really need from this network is for people to know about it, for you to know and take it in your little kit bag of things when you're meeting with your clients and in your groups. Signposting, buddying people to the sessions, promoting it is a good thing if indeed you think it is. I mean, we've been through quite a lot of the cons to this as well as the pros, especially if people are not engaging and feeling very isolated. How do you get them to join in? And that's really where groups like yourselves come in, because you're working with people anyway. So that's really what I wanted to say about our bid in progress. Does anybody have any questions that I will try and answer? Either that, I'll show you some pretty pictures and tell you what we're doing now. Hello. Hello, Kate. Oh, you've gone mute again.
With this. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Fab. Yeah, I have my reactions, you know, where you put your hand up and things like that. For some reason has vanished.
I can't see them, and I can't find my hand either. So I'm
no. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I was just wondering how you would refer if you had if I had a client who was suitable for this service, and what is there any criteria, you know, age criteria or?
No, I mean, as I say, my new hat is with children and young people, and I'm very interested in the research into how isolated new mums have been, especially if they've had their baby during lockdown. I have to say the rest of them are thinking a lot more up the other end of the age range, and of course it's just me down the bottom going children's, but I really don't think, I think it is a very flexible model. Younger mums might feel that they want to be with other younger mums because that's usually what their social life is like. But no, I don't think there is, and I don't think we would. Libraries have the joy of being a universal service still, even though we target people. But no, there wouldn't be a criteria. There would be a phone number. There would be, on a practical level, there would be inevitably a special email address. We're very good at having those because they just mean that it filters it out from the general referral that we get, but we do have a general referral contact as well. So yeah, I can't see, my colleagues will probably kill me for this, but I can't see why we'd say no, because if people were happy to come, we'd be happy for them to be there.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to write that down. Okay. Any more for any more?
Hiya. Hi. What kind of timescale are you? When are you thinking of starting?
If we put the bid in by the end of the month, which is what we have to do, they have to do lots of many things. I think we would be talking about July, which is when I'm hoping things are resurging. Obviously, as we're tackling isolation, you would say, well, now would be a good time, but we don't have the money. But I will talk about a few things we are doing already. So July onwards, but as I said, people were feeling like this before lockdown. They're not going to automatically suddenly start blossoming when we're out, because they may, you know, still not know where they can go. But I think it's going to, I think what I saw in the summary is July onwards. I think basically once we get the money, which is what we do need. And it's an 18-month project, which obviously we would be looking continuously for sustainability. We do actually have, is it Caring Together they're called now? They have actually signed up to very much be engaged and use this as part of their program. So we hope we get the money for their sake, if nothing else. Any more for any more? Would you like pictures? There literally are pictures to look at. Then there's nothing exciting on these slides other than pictures, because I'm a children's librarian. This is what we do. But in which case I need to be able to share my screen. Yes, look at you. Right, let me get what I need up on my screen. I've learned this. You need to have up on your screen what you want. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay. Here's a pretty picture. So here we go. We do have an offer at the moment. We can't let you into the library to loll about, which lots of people like doing. They're using our toilets and lying on our furniture and just being in the space. But we do have the doors open. But I'm going to start with our social events, because they're the thing we can't do as normal. So basically, Read a Little Aloud used to take place in libraries. You literally had volunteers and staff who were happy reading, getting together and literally reading to people. I think we forget adults like being read to. I have to listen to a story, otherwise my ironing would never get done. So it is a really beautiful experience to be read to. We've had to take it online. It is via Zoom, just as we were proposing for the beginning of our project. First and third Tuesdays, 2 till 3 in the afternoon, and the readings are on a theme. We've had love in February, we've had Christmas, we've had school days, lots of lovely themes that people can engage with. So, and there's an email, one of our special emails that you email along, and then you're sent back the link. I think you can also ring the call centre as well if you're not online. This model has actually been commissioned by the Royal Patworth Hospital to be developed with the people who are actually currently in isolation, so that they can access some kind of social interaction without actually physically being with people that could make them even more ill than they are. I think the hospital have actually given us money to invest in the devices. It's all good to go. So at the moment, the staff are so busy dealing with all the crises that we haven't actually, I think we've only had about one session, but it's all ready to go. So it's a recognised model, which gave us the confidence to write our bid. On the other 2 Tuesdays, the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month, we do actually have something called Engage. Again, we used to have these lovely people here sitting in Burwell Library. I'm sorry, I only have East Cambs examples because I've just done a talk to East Cambs District Council. Lady talking about the history of fans here. We've had this afternoon, as we speak, the Zoom is going out, myth busting from the Battle of Britain. So there's lots and lots of different types, history of fashion, story of Hitler. I mean, that was the most astounding range of topics. And those speakers that used to come into libraries who are happy to do an actual live stream of their talk, we've signed them up to do these twice a month talks. So we're really pleased with those. Let me see if I can find you another picture. This is where it won't do it, will it? Oh, God. I hate this. Do I have to do it? Oh, it's done it. Okay. Resources that we have. We are actually commissioned by Public Health to deliver a health information service. I don't know if everybody knows this. And as you are mostly health professionals, you are allowed to sign up to this if you haven't already. I have got some details I can send, because we do have a catalogue that shows you the sorts of things we have. We're a library, of course we have a catalogue. It includes leaflets and posters on a huge range of conditions that practitioners can order for their service. There's an email address if you want to know more, or join, which I can send round. Personally, I happen to love the physical resources that our curator UN has. We have models of the eye. We have bodies that you can pull the insides out of. Just very therapeutic. I just borrow some of those as a stress relief if I were you. So a health information service, which I think is worth having a look, and that's our little poster. If you go on to the catalogue, you'll see it just looks very county council. We happen to be flagging up International Women's Day at the moment, but you can go in and search, and I did a little search for posters about mental health support, and you get lots of things that you can order. Because we are funded, these things are sent out to you for free. So if you feel like using it, then please do. Every library, I hope this is the picture I'm looking for, every library actually has an health and well-being section. It's an area. The bigger the library, the bigger the section, as you can imagine. It has themes on there, which I was hoping was going to be on here. Oh, yes, I put it in the middle of 2 slides. It has, we're sent by the lovely UN, displays that sort of promote and support different health campaigns that she's had from Public Health, or ones we make up ourselves. Lots of copies of some of the, the leaflets on a range of conditions that people can pick up and take away. But it also has books, surprisingly enough, because we're a library and we like books. And one of the one of the most exciting areas is our Reading Well collections. We have them on long-term conditions. We have quite a lot of collections to support good mental health. And this is good mental health for those who are caring for or suffering from dementia, general conditions for adults, which is this is part of the website for Reading Well, which is actually run by the Reading Agency. But this is all about self-help books. There's biographies, there's novels, there's straight information books, all round a theme. And for mental health, we have them for adults, teenage collection called Shelf Help, and we have another collection that's just come out for children. Some really beautiful picture books that just help children explore how they're feeling. Absolutely beautiful. Let's have Dorinda again. There she is, lovely Dorinda, pretending to be a member of the public because we can't have public through our doors. There it is, Reading Well for Mental Health. That's our general collection, and there's Shelf Help for teenagers next door to that. So we're really pleased with those collections. But my favourite collection that we have is Stories for Sharing. I don't know if anybody's heard of these. They're actually picture books to use with adults with dementia to stimulate conversation. And my lovely model here, Caroline, is looking at the one about gardens. They are beautiful photographs with a little line of text, sometimes a line of poetry, a quote, sometimes they're jokes, just to get you to talk about things. So gardens, schools, pets, the family, going to the seaside. There's a whole range of them that we have. Oh, there's one called Beside the Seaside sitting on the shelf there. So they're a beautiful thing that we have there. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, that's all very well, Louise, but you just said you couldn't come into the library. Well, we do have something called, there's Caroline again, she's being a star, called Select and Collect. We can't let you in to browse yourselves, though from the 12th of April, we've got everything crossed. We can let you in to have a look, but we have something called Select and Collect. You let us know what sort of books you like reading, and that can be the Reading Well collections, selection from those, or the Stories for Sharing, or anything else we have in many, many formats. You let us know. We've got an online form, we've got a phone number. You can come into the library and say, I would like to, and we will bundle them up for you, and you can collect them from your local library next time you're in. So we are trying to supply people with, if only therapeutic reading, we've got all these specialists reading, but basically the act of reading, there's something called bibliotherapy. It's the act of reading, the vicarious experience of maybe experiencing somebody else's life that is actually very mood boosting. And that's another collection that seems to have gone by the by. We did have collections called mood boosting collections. So we have many other services and many other things sitting in our libraries that we were hoping you can get to see and touch and take home, but that's just a little taster of what we have. And as I say, I will send links. There's our links to our Read a Little Louder, Engage. We also have a phone digital service. If you want to get online, or your clients want to get online, we'll talk you through it down the phone. Maybe we'll talk you through getting on Zoom so that we can show you what we want. And then there's lots of ways of getting in touch with us, how you can get in our select and collect, what to do if you want to visit a library, finding out our online offer, which if I was doing the bit that Heidi invited us to do to begin with, I'd say the one thing my service has done is explode its online offer. We have the Read a Little Aloud, we have the Engage. We also have rhyme time and story time and craft events for children and adults, and a huge range of ebooks, e-audio, magazines, comics, newspapers, as a huge range of things that you can get off our website for free. And there are no fines at the moment, so go bananas, because you won't be charged if you don't bring them back on time. But you can borrow them for 6 weeks, so hopefully you will have got somewhere through your books by then. So I think I'm going to stop sharing now, which I of course can't find the thing that allows me to do that. Maybe you can just cut me off. No, I don't want that. I'm looking for my expandy thing, and that looks a bit more expanded, but I haven't got the there we go. Sorry. Information specialist, would you believe? And I still don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, if somebody could stop me sharing, because for some reason I can't make this big. You won't do it? No.
Louise, if you try clicking the green screen share at the bottom, it might.
So that's
stop
the point.
screen.
I can't get to the bit that's got the green screen at the bottom, because you are a beautiful bookmark at the moment. But I get out of the. No, can't get out. Can you stop me? Can you stop me? That was a good end to a little talk, wasn't it? So, hi.
At least it's a communication page, so people can still see the link.
It is. That isn't that good. Are we going to stop on something? Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry, I'm going to take it away now. Thank you very much for listening. I know you've got mute buttons, so you could be swearing behind your screens and I'd never know. But thank you very much for listening. I will send some information out if you are interested in some of the things I didn't give you emails for. And I can send these slides to John. Is that the best place for them to go to be shared?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much. I don't know how long that was, but I witter. So thank you very much. And I'll let you know how we get on with our lottery bid. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Louise. That was fantastic. So much actually in there. I'm quite an avid library user myself, and there's a lot in there that I actually didn't know was going on. So
I think the basic message is, people, we are actually open. We closed in lockdown 1, but then we opened and we wouldn't let them close us again. And in fact, I'm an essential worker, would you believe? But there we go. It means we haven't. Oh, thank you, Laura. We haven't closed our doors, which we're delighted about. Thank you very much.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to hear kind of all the different things you've got going on and helping lots of different ranges of people, which is great. And you actually answered most of my questions which I had, which was fantastic. I do have one little question for you though, if you wouldn't mind. I've got a library card, so I can access everything quite easily. But if we were working with clients or participants that don't have a library card yet, is that something they can still access at the moment? And how would they go about getting a library card?
You You've always been able to join online. So we do have a form that you can join online. If you just go to our general web page, you can fill that in. You can actually just walk through the doors, but we can't have people lurking. This is the problem. The government, we love you to lurk, but the government won't let you lurk. So we would probably send you away with a piece of paper. We've known to do this in Ely. They've gone into Waitrose, sat down, filled it in and come back, or sat on the little benches outside the shops. But yes, you can still join. We want you so badly to come back and use us that we're prepared to. Well, actually, we're having a lovely time selecting the books. And a lot of people have discovered new authors and titles because we've been selecting it for them. So that's good. So yes, you can still join. Can I just give a plug? If anybody's got a 0 to 4 and they live in Fenland and East Cambs, or you're working with families with preschool children, just launched something called First Steps Library Card, where I'm going to bribe them to use the library. I've got a very special little library card with a beautiful picture on it. And there are 3 incentives, some gifts to collect. You just got to keep coming back to the library. We might ask you some questions as well. We'll put you into a prize draw for many beautiful things, but basically we're just going to bribe parents with 0 to 4s to use their library card because it's good for them, but I'll bribe them and then they'll find that out for themselves. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Louise. Has anyone got any questions for Louise at all?
Yeah, Louise, that was fantastic. Thanks. It's lovely to hear someone's passion about something like this, and it's very encouraging. The 2 things really. You're applying for funding for an 18-month-long project. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what they usually fund for. And
so,
yeah.
Where would that leave you if you're successful? What difference will that make? Will you have more involvement and participation in the life of what you offer now, or will you be doing some things new and different? And I'm thinking about some of the thinking I'm having to do about being there for people who can't get to what we offer. And like Jane said earlier, we've discovered that for some people, that really is their preferred way anyway of connecting, So how does that fit into your plans?
It fits really well because, of course, we're planning it now in a time of COVID. So we are, as I say, we've got the telephone conferencing that I think has been set up elsewhere, but we're kind of going to buy in on because we've heard quite a lot about how that can be used, and it's a much more accessible interface if people are not coming in. We've got the joys of Zoom, which at least it's in real time, so people can comment like you can today. What I think it is there's a certain amount of capacity. We are hoping part of the funding is for a coordinator, because I don't know if you found this, you set up a new project and you just can't give it the headroom when you're doing, because it's only ever part of your job. So we are putting somebody in whose job it will be to think about the service, as well as having input from my team. But it is to do more and to do it in more depth, and the idea that you can actually maybe recruit people that could go into people's homes or train up the library at home volunteers. It's just that capacity to go in deeper and not just do what you can do, but actually follow where people want to go. I think that's the big thing we find very difficult. We set up our service, we know our capacity, and then we really feel that we should be co-producing, we should be following where people want to go, and we just can't do it in any meaningful way at the moment. So that's our new way of working, to be able to actually respond more immediately and more broadly to what people are actually, we find people want. But we've got to put an offer out there in the first place and then say, well, what else do you want to see? Or do you want this to be different? Or how does it work for you?
And then finally, because I'm still getting to know Fenland and how it works, and because, I mean, that's one of the main reasons I value having these little gatherings. Will you be working out of, where are the hotspots already with where you work, the engagement, and will you be focusing on particular communities with the project that you're applying for funding for?
I think inevitably Fenland, because it has vast tracts of Fenland in between its settlements, and let's not talk about transport, Fenland will have a feature. But as we all know, you can go to work every day and still feel isolated. So that's why I'm here, because I'm interested, but I'm also here talking because you are working with the people. We don't know who we don't know. We know who's missing from our membership, but we're looking to take this project and say, look, this is a resource you can use. If you've got someone you think it's a fit, then please, or that kind of works, but if you did this, these people would benefit. It's got to be a bit more collaborative than us just putting a service out there, which is why we're really pleased that Caring Together, because they've got quite a lot of bereavement, as I described, losing your husband and then being on your own. But these are people obviously also have lost their partners or member of their family to COVID during lockdowns, whatever. So they're very interested in getting people that are in a state of bereavement together. So that shapes some of the things that we're doing. So we're looking to shape this fairly tried and tested model and tweak it and evolve it so that it actually is a proper resource for the people that are working, because we're a universal offer. Anybody can walk through our doors, but they don't all walk through our doors. So we need you lovely people out there, please. If we get the money, get the money. You can tell them about Read a Little Aloud now, but you know, the biggie, we need a bit more funding for. Does that help? Fenland will get everything because Fenland is wonderful. And it's got such amazing people working in it. I go elsewhere that are much more affluent, but they don't have the networks we have in Fenland. They're astounding. So thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
So I really loved your presentation, and it just reminded me of all the amazing things that we can get from our library, and many of us just don't access those services like we used to, you know. And one when you spoke about being read to, I've got the app RB Digital.
Oh yes, which has just moved to Overdrive.
Right, so I haven't logged on for a while because I've also got Audible. But so yeah, for me, I'm actually in recovery myself from alcohol and prescription drug addiction. And in my early recovery a few years ago, having that library app to have books read to me when I wasn't always able to focus properly on the reading part, just being able to listen, it had helped me sleep, it helped me deal with cravings back then. And so even when we can't have a real person reading to us, it's a free, you know, Audible I pay £8 a month for, but the library app, which is free, and it's got a great collection of it, not only of like novels and great stories and all sorts, poetry, it's also got quite a few bits of self-help and stuff, or it did a few years ago.
Yes.
So yeah, just wanted to ask, is that still available, and is that something
it is? We've just moved over to something called Overdrive with a little Libby app with a cute little girl with something in her hair. We've had a few teething troubles. We didn't want to move. It's just RB Digital bought Overdrive and then basically stepped away and said everybody who has RB Digital will now have Overdrive, and it will be better in the end, but at the moment it's a little bit squeaky. But yes, we do have, and more the Reading Well, a lot of the ones for mental health, they're actually bringing them out as ebooks now. So that may not be on that platform of Overdrive, but we will be making those available. So yes, the e-offer is because we couldn't, there's no point buying physical books because in the first lockdown nobody could come and borrow them, obviously different now. We actually put more money into the e-offer than we've ever had the courage to do before. We got more children's books, which was always a hobby horse of mine, and yes, the offer is there. And as I say, we added comics in because it's over the summer holidays. We have a summer reading challenge, as well as magazines and newspapers. which we've had for a long time now. So yes, it's there. And thank you for sharing that, because, you know, I know it's a good thing, but I would never have thought of somebody in your position using it in that way. It's just, that's quite awesome, really. So thank you for letting me know. That's really
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Loving this. This is fantastic. Just trying to think if I've got any more questions, or if anybody else has any more questions for Louise, please jump in. Oh, I do have one question actually, Louise. Have you got a social media platform? I was just thinking.
Oh my goodness, have we? My lovely digital lead is on holiday this week, so I'm doing this for you, Rosie. We have 2 Facebook pages. Woo. We have, it's at Cams Lib, because we have Twitter as well. So that's our Twitter and our main Facebook page. Now let me get this right. At Cams Lib Families. I will check that and send that out, because we do have Facebook Families now, which is where I put my First Step to Reading project on, and many other beautiful things. We also have Instagram, and we nearly had to kill someone to get it, but we did get it in the end. So 2 Facebook pages, Twitter and Instagram. So yes, like us and find out what we have to. We have an online, and we have a timetable of online activities that's posted every week. So you can find out what you can do online. Thank you. That was a very good question. I didn't pay her for that question, but I should have. Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah, I should have asked maybe for some payment for that. No, that's great. We can share things onto our Facebook page, so that's great. Any new things that come up, new projects, or even existing ones, we're more than happy to share different things. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. Wonderful. I guess, has anybody got any questions before we move on? No, I don't think so. Well, thank you ever so much, Louise. That was brilliant to go through all of that. I've made tons of notes. And yeah, like John says, if you can share all the links and the contacts and things with him, he can share it around sort of the rest of the group, and we can kind of go from there with it. And if anyone has any questions for Louise, I hope you don't mind if people get in touch, and we'll go from there, which is fantastic. Thank you ever so much. Big round of applause all around. So we've got sort of 15 minutes or so left, so kind of to open up the floor really and see if anybody's got any service updates or anything they want to share, any news. Just kind of jump in if you have anything.
I have. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes,
I seem to be having a little bit of an issue with my Zoom thing today. Service updates. So I'm Kate, and I work for I'm a Wellbeing Coordinator for Care Network. So we have a wellbeing service, and throughout lockdown in the past year, we've been working with some seriously distressed clients, unfortunately. Some of them that have been bereaved by COVID, which honestly, just totally awful for, especially, well, for anybody, but the ones that have been the saddest have been elderly people, generally, from my experience, mainly women, who have been bereaved, where their husbands or somebody else in their family has been sort of taken off to hospital, and that was the last they ever saw of them. Very, very distressing. But now there's all the talk about coming out of lockdown, and certainly in my work over the last sort of couple of months, I have had quite a few clients saying to me, well, they can do what they like, but I'm not going back out there. People have been frightened. Some people have been very seriously frightened, and now they're going to need an awful lot of reassurance, some of them, in order for them to pick up some sort of normality, some sort of the normality that they had before lockdown. So we've secured funding for another part of our wellbeing service, which aims to support people who are either newly diagnosed with anxiety and depression that has been caused by the coronavirus pandemic, or people who have experiencing a re-emergence of symptoms that they may have had in the past because of the pandemic. It's very, very new. It hasn't started yet. But we're thinking about people who are struggling with anxiety about resuming normal life, such as returning to the workplace. Commuting seems to be a big concern for a lot of people. Also people who may have lost employment or been plunged into financial difficulties because of the pandemic. People who are supporting other people, you know, people who are supporting children to get back to normal, or teenagers or young people. So anybody really whose well-being has taken a hit because of the pandemic can access the service. So as I said, we haven't actually started yet. We're just sort of developing it at the moment, but we can take some appropriate referrals if anybody comes across somebody who's struggling with mild to moderate anxiety or depression that is new to them, and sort of involves an impact from the coronavirus pandemic. You can contact Care Network. You're going to want my telephone number now, and I've forgotten it. I'll come back to you with that. Put it in the chat.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Yeah, if you would like to put your contact details, if you're happy, in the chat, that would be great. If anyone has any questions for Cate, or is it, sorry, I actually have a question. Do you do self-referral at all, or is it referrals in?
Either. People can refer themselves, or professional referrals. The best way to do that is to just give either myself or my colleague Cate a ring, just to discuss that particular individual and see if we feel we'll be able to help. And I'll definitely put that telephone number in the chat there.
I ask what that service looks like, Cate, in terms of like length, or what you're offering?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we're thinking about is offering 6 to 8 sessions that at the moment obviously are going to be remote. And then for people who would like, or people who are suitable for groups, we are also going to be running a group. So they'll get the 6 sessions, and then there is the possibility that they could be moved into a group that will be carried out on Zoom or Teams, or, you know, whatever's the best for that at the time. And yeah, that's how it's looking at the moment. Of course, we also have all the sort of different agencies, sort of statutory and voluntary agencies, that we can refer people to if they haven't made enough progress after our intervention. But we're hoping that they will, and we're also hoping that some of them would like to join a group for further information and support at the end of their 6 or 8 sessions. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you for that and sharing. Anyone else got any updates or questions?
Sorry, did I miss that with Cate? What have you called or what are you going to be calling? No, okay, same as us. We haven't got no for ours either. Thank you. You're on mute, but I'm lip reading, which is quite impressive.
I'm useless at this, aren't I? No, we haven't got a name yet because we're still thinking. We're still trying to. We're waiting for the muse to strike us from somewhere, and hopefully we'll
offer
come up with
an ice cream Mars bar. That usually does it. Somebody
yeah.
will-
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Has anybody else got any updates or?
Yeah, Heidi. So no real updates from us about service delivery, but just to flag, because I've noticed that a couple of other people have been involved in this as well. In Cambridge, a number of our kind of members have been involved in the Radio Companions campaign that's been going on this week because of the year of lockdown. And I believe we've all been recorded and talking about the effects. Jane's nodding. I was one of the recorded, so that's why it's lingering in my head. Please feel free to have a little bit of a listen to some of our organisations.
That's great, Laura. Would you tell us a bit more? I actually don't know of this campaign. Please tell us.
Jane, please jump in if I get anything wrong, because I was kind of thrown in at the
I'll look for the link because I think I've got the link for the website. I know ours is live tomorrow, but I'll see if I can find the link.
I think we're going live. I think our recording on Radio Cambridge 105 is going on Saturday. But a couple of the local radio stations in Cambridge, so I think it's Cambridge 105 and Star, have done some short recordings with organisations that have been supporting people with their mental health and loneliness over the lockdown, and just talking about what's changed with our services, how people have coped and that kind of thing. And all of the recordings are going out on radio over the course of this week, but are available on the Radio Companions website for you to access now. I had the joy of listening back to mine yesterday for the first time.
I cried this morning when I heard mine. That's literally it's just so lovely hearing people talk about your service.
So it's just that kind of sharing of organisations within Cambridge, really, and getting the word out there. So please do have a look.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, sorry, I feel like I put you on the spot with that one to tell me all the details, but no,
that's fine.
Definitely listen back to all of those if I can. Thank you. Anybody else?
Say that we've got some more online courses available. I hope everybody knows about them. If not, they're on our website. And I really advise people, if they find they're useful for clients, that they sign up to the mailing list, because then you find out first. Because they just literally fly off the shelves. We literally post them and then they fill, which is fantastic. But I kind of feel like it's a bit unfair. So just to let you know that the best way to do it is if you do sign up, and then you'll be the first to know, and advise people just to go for it. They're not committed. If they decide to change their mind, that's fine, you know. So some interesting stuff, but I'll put that in there. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Jane. Last couple of minutes, anyone for any more?
Can I just quickly share that so I'm based in March, and a few of the local organisations here are getting together to have a meeting in about a month's time about acquiring a community hub or a community space. If anybody wants to be part of that conversation, it's at this is literally the initial meeting about it, so you haven't missed anything. But if anybody wants to be involved in that conversation, I'd love for you to be. So just raise your let me know, and I will include you in the mailing for that. So yeah.
Brilliant, that sounds excellent, Rachel. Would you be right to pop your contact in the chat and people can then get in contact with you? Yeah, fab. That sounds great. So I've only got a couple more minutes left, so I'm happy to wrap things up if no one else wants to share anything. Details going into the chat there, thank you. So really just want to say thank you. Thank you for you all giving your time to come and do this and talking, and thank you so much for sharing. It's been wonderful just to catch up with you all again. It's always a wonderful thing doing our Fenmhan. I really enjoy it, so thank you. And thank you to Louise for your fabulous presentation. Like I said, I've got so many notes and things going forward, so that was brilliant. Hopefully we can get your contacts and things shared around the group for future things. And yeah, just thank you everyone for all that you do. You know, in the last year, it's been a challenging year, as we kind of touched on at the start. Some really highs and some really lows, and hopefully we are kind of coming out of it. But as Kate kind of mentioned, there's still some work to be done, and still some time to go through. So if there's anything that ever we can all do for one another in support as well, obviously please do get in touch with us. That's something that we're keen to do as the network, is to support each other as well. Other than that, if anyone's got anything else, I don't know, John, if you want to say a quick goodbye.
Goodbye.
There we go.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and take care and stay safe.
Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Heidi. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, well heard. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.